This letter was absolutely calculated directly to interfere with these negotiations. It specifically inserts itself directly to the leader of another country saying, don't negotiate with these guys because we're going to change this, which, by the way, is not only contrary to the Constitution with respect to the executive's right to negotiate, but it is incorrect because they cannot change an executive agreement.
First out of the box today, member of the House of Representatives since 2011, representing Arizona's 4th Congressional District. Let's welcome Republican Congressman Paul Gosar to the show today. Congressman, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Ed.
With regard to this whole letter, do we need to basically stop for a moment and say, look, Iran will find any excuse whatsoever to blame America for their ills. At the end of the day, this is absolutely much ado about nothing when we get to the final result.
I agree with you, but it also shows you to the lengths that this administration will go to find a deal when no deal is better than this bad deal.
With regard then to that deal, what do you think is going to eventually be the end result here? Because we're up against, I think, about a week and a half where we have to get this deal basically set. Are we going to just see another extension and another moving on and another, gee, we can't get here?
I think they've got what they've started setting up, Ed, is the perfect climax of saying, listen, we can't get this deal, so we're going to need more time. Congress has interfered. They're actually going to probably ask for more time.
With regard to a lot of this, there was an interesting editorial in the Los Angeles Times today where it pointed out the fact that Iran is manipulating events in the ground in 4 Arab capitals, Baghdad, Beirut, Damascus, and Sana'a. Do we need to just basically stop playing footsie, I guess, with Iran at this point and say, look, this is a dangerous government here. This is a dangerous administration. We need to come up with a hard call against them. We need to stop playing games with these guys.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime, Ed, you go into negotiations, you don't take things off the table. You actually ramp things up. So I'm one of those proponents that we should have ramped up sanctions to make it harder. And imagine what could have happened when we have them over literally an oil of crude oil. You know, with it plummeting, we basically had their whole economy in the palm of our hands. And that way you bring people effectively and efficiently back to the bargaining table. And honestly, if this administration thought that they were going to get a negotiation truthfully by Iran, they got another thing coming.
Do you find it interesting, too, that apparently a lot of the Democrats also are saying that, look, we agree with the essence of what this letter is. We still want to have our say at the end of the day. It was just the letter itself. But still, here you have Democrats saying, well, maybe we wouldn't have done it that way. But in essence, we agree with exactly what it says. That's not getting a tremendous amount of publicity.
That's exactly right. But I think we're starting to see that we're maybe reaching that threshold of a veto-proof majority out of the Senate. And that's key because, you know, most of these nuclear deals had congressional oversight. The time that we didn't in 1994 with the Clinton, with North Korea, look where that ended up. They got nuclear proliferation. And this is a dangerous area, and over 70% of Americans want to make sure that we hold Iran accountable for their actions in here. This is a volatile area, Ed, and I think even the Democrats understand that process. They may have not liked the process, but they acknowledge that it was the right message.
Is there any doubt in your mind as we get to the end result on this that Iran wants to weaponize, and they do eventually, one way or another, whether they're just a bunch of nut jobs who accidentally hit the switch one day or whether they are planning it, that they want to use a nuclear weapon, be it against us, Israel, or somebody? That is their end result.
Well, if you don't understand the Persians, which Iran is, if you don't understand their history, you're doomed to repeat it. Over and over in history, we've had to deal with this. And so history tends to repeat itself because mankind, particularly in this case, United States, and this administration think they're smarter than the end result of where they want to go with this. And I think, you know, this administration has shown a very poor aptitude to foreign affairs. And it behooves the Congress, and particularly the Senate, to have its direct oversight in regards to these matters, because this administration, whether it be the Ukraine, whether it be Syria, whether it be the Horn of Africa, whether it be ISIS, they have no clue what they are doing.
30 seconds left, then we'll take a break. Your take on what's happening in Israel today. Certainly the elections, Benjamin Netanyahu may indeed be out. Do you think it will change drastically the relationship here if indeed there is a change of leadership in Israel?
Oh, I think it does. And I think that the investigation ought to go into this administration for their coercion and trying to overthrow the current prime minister. This is a real threat, and if Israel expects the United States to be its partner, we need to have an administration that's also a strong partner, not somebody that dictates according to Israel.
All right.
They live in harm's way, and we have to make sure that we understand that. So I certainly hope that this prime minister actually saves his job.
Congressman, stand by. We're going to take a break inside the Beltway. When we come back, we're banging up against the debt ceiling again and Republican infighting over the budget and defense spending. All coming up on MidPoint. Let's welcome back to MidPoint, if you will. Once again, Arizona Republican Congressman Paul Gosar joins us. Congressman, I just want to get back to something that you had said just before the break, where you had mentioned the word overthrow with regard to the Obama administration and Israel. That's a fairly harsh word to use, and I would imagine that you don't use it lightly.
I don't, but once again, this administration has gone for egregious behavior and then asked for immunity after the fact. I mean, whether it be Fast and Furious, whether it be James Rosen, whether it be the IRS, whether it be in Benghazi, and now with backing monies to try to overthrow Bibi Netanyahu. Once again, we'll find out that we're right on the money, and we have to be very, very forceful in regards to those words, hold people accountable.
What would the president and this current administration, in your opinion, then have to gain if indeed Mr. Netanyahu is defeated?
Well, he hasn't got along. President Obama has not got along with Netanyahu from day one. I mean, you look at it as off-the-cuff remarks to Putin saying, and to the French president, that he has to deal with the prime minister of Israel. He's never liked it. It's been a strained relationship from day one. And sometimes as a leader, you have to start looking at, is it everybody else is being the problem, or am I the focus of the problem when it's a recurrent theme, whether it be Syria, whether it be Russia, whether it be anywhere else. I think this president needs to look in the mirror and say, hey, what kind of problems am I creating?
Last minute, I guess, for Benjamin Netanyahu, declaring definitively that if he is returned to office, he will never establish a Palestinian state. Meantime, his opponent, Isaac Herzog, says we do need to restart these two-state solution talks. Your opinion, no to the Palestinians, or do we indeed need to get some peace and go the two-state?
I would tend to tell you, look at has the Palestinians actually come to the table in earnest? They actually haven't. Over and over again, we got to come back to what Golda Meir said. There'll be no peace in Israel until Palestinian women love their children more than they hate Israel. Once again, if we don't learn from history, we're doomed to repeat history. They don't want it. They don't want peace.
Let me then go ahead and turn to what's happening here at home. The Congressional Republicans, their new budget proposal comes out today. Let's see if I've got this right. Balance the budget in 10 years by repealing the Affordable Care Act, making changes to the tax code, and reducing regulations. That's an awful lot to bite off in one shot.
Well, it's amazing how much we have to do, Ed, because we've been kicking the can down for how long now? The president put out a budget that never balances. At least this is an attempt to have that conversation with America, that we have to have a conversation about balancing our budget like mom and pops across the country do.
What makes this one then so urgent, this specific budget proposal here? What makes it so perfect and so right that, in your opinion and in the opinion of others, it simply would be folly if the Democrats lined up against it, which they likely will, of course?
Well, I don't know that it's perfect. I think it's a starting point. It's a starting point to have those conversations, and I want to see us get back to regular order in the 12 appropriations bills, where we can have the ingenuity, the eyesight, and the new fresh ideas from America through Congress to implement some changes. The trajectory of our debt is going to explode beyond this year. So if we don't start this trajectory of conservation and making sure that we're accountable in our spending habits, we got problems that we can never face and never rectify. So this is a crucial year in regards to having a direction, putting out a process, and engaging America. Ask for help, and America will bring forward ideas.
Congressman, is it really possible that the Republicans can get their act together and everybody move forward as one? Because quite frankly, it doesn't seem as if that's possible.
Well, I think there's always that process of, when you're conservative, that's the mantra, is that everybody's got their own opinion. So it's like herding cats. But I think that we can all matriculate that aspect when we're invited to the table for our solutions. To be invited and be part of the solutions, everybody wants to attend the table. But when it's your way or the highway, I think that leadership has had that problem, is having a direction without inclusively adding people with great ideas and the willpower and the work ethic to make things actually happen. So I think a lot of it is just the nuances of how do you lead? Do you lead by bringing people to the table, or do you lead by your way or the highway?
Last shot here, about a minute to go. The White House has decided to delete its Freedom of Information Act regulations. Is this a cover-up?
Oh, once again, this is the most transparent administration in history. I guess it's St. Paddy's Day, luck of the Irish. But once again, they claim that the Bush administration did this and that they're following up. Why not set the bar in transparency? But this administration never wants to be transformative in that aspect. They want to cover up everything. That's why we have answers to James Rosen, to the IRS, to Benghazi, to the inner workings of the Department of Justice. That's the problem with this administration, is they don't want answers.
Is this, though, just a flat out, in your opinion, this is a cover-up, whitewash everything and get it away and stuff it away as fast as you can?
Oh, absolutely. Feign that you're not going to get that. The soul walking of information. Look how long it's taken us for Fast and Furious. God, we're going on our 6th year now, and trying to get information on Fast and Furious. I mean, by the time we get everything done, all the information so we can make some arrests and stuff like that, Eric Holder will be, gray area and in a wheelchair.
We'll have to go ahead and end it there. We're out of time. Congressman Paul Gosar, thank you so much for your time. I'll look forward to the next time.
Thanks, Ed.
Take care. The president's approval rating up. Republicans have no one to blame but themselves. That's coming up next, right here on MidPoint.